Michael Robinson out for the Seattle Seahawks. Jay Feely will kick it off. The rain is falling. It's been sprinkling throughout most of the day. Temperature in the 60s. The sun was out for a while, so the field a bit slick as Leon Washington back to return. Seattle did win the toss and wanted the ball.
Look, the rain will be a factor. The wind, I think, today, when you talk about the throwing and the balls in the air, the wind could have a major factor on this game.
Game 3 is happening. And Leon Washington has it. Out across the 26-yard line, Seattle's offense will take over. And a team that has not scored in the first half this year. In fact, with Tavares Jackson leading the way, they've yet to have a lead in a game at all.
Well, he did start of 8 of 10 last week, so throwing the ball so they can get some of the short things going. Look at the new weapons there in Sidney Rice. First game for him. Zach Miller, he has got to get more involved, Chris, in the passing game. And then Paul McQuiston, he's new. John Moffitt, new. Rookie James Carpenter, new. The right side of that offensive line playing in their 3rd NFL game.
Sidney Rice missing the first 2 games with that shoulder injury. A target for Tavares Jackson, and that's where he goes for a first down completion. On the defensive side, you talk about simplifying things. They've been scored upon, but they've been able to make some plays when they haven't given up big plays.
And that D-line is the strength of this defense. And you're right. They have given up a lot of big plays. They've been good down in the red zone. Those 2 young corners will continue, Chris, to get tested.
After a 9-yard pickup, throwing on 2nd down, incomplete for Mike Williams, who, when he played the Arizona Cardinals last year, torched him for 22 catches.
I'm glad they're going to Mike Williams early in this game. And Pete Carroll knows Mike very well, as you know from their USC days. The guy had, you just mentioned it, a couple of good games against Seattle last year. You know, last week in their matchup at Pittsburgh, he wasn't even targeted in the first half as a receiver. They didn't even throw to him. So, like the fact they're trying to get him involved early.
So a 3rd and 1. Marshawn Lynch, the back. Inside handoff to Ed Williams, the fullback. Trying to get that first down. And it is a Seattle first down. Williams playing because of the injury to Michael Robinson. Ken Wisenhunt said, we'll be all right. We're finding our way.
Well, in last week, Ken Wisenhunt, the head coach there, he knows his defense was slammed pretty good in the run game. They were good week 1 against Carolina. Darnell Dockett, Dan Williams, Calais Campbell, those guys up front last week, frankly, didn't play well against the Washington Redskins.
Mike Williams out on the left, Sidney Rice on the right. It's 1st and 10. Down the middle, complete at the 40-yard line to Zach Miller, the tight end, who they would like to throw to more, but they've been keeping him in the block because of the inconsistency in the offensive line.
Yeah, he needs to become more involved in the passing game. And hopefully, if they can get some run stuff going today, you'll see that transpire. I mean, you talk about a second-year left tackle in Okun, a first-year right tackle in James Carpenter. He's been, as you said, held into block to help those youngsters out on the edge.
After a 7-yard pickup, Lynch. And it'll bring up 3rd and short. Some pushing and shoving going on. Remember, the Seahawks won both games in the division. They swept them last year. The year before that, the Cardinals won 4 in a row in the series. And Darnell Dockett, the fiery leader of that Arizona defense. Seattle, the youngest starting lineup in the NFL, just over the age of 25, and now 3rd and 1.
Yeah, and 8 new starters and the youth. That's always going to spell problems early in the season.
And we get a quick timeout called by the Cardinals. Previous 3rd and 1. Seattle converted. They had one this time. So Ray Horton, defensive coordinator, probably wanted to get something straight. We talked about some of the big plays, Tim, that Cardinal defense gave up.
Well, in the first-year coordinator, Ray Horton, you'll see it here, breakdowns in coverage, too many all over the place. This is against Carolina, and no safety help over the top, and Adrian Wilson, Steve Smith down the sideline, the help never comes. This is last week against Washington. Adrian Wilson gets lost. Santana Moss left all alone in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. Don't be surprised if Ray Horton scales it back.
And that's a first down for Marshawn Lynch. after an 8-yard run to the Arizona 49-yard line. Again, the ball slick as the light rain continues to fall. They'll spot it at the 50-yard line as Paris Lennon, who takes in the defensive signals, was knocked out last week, came back in the game over on the sideline. Justin Forsett checks in on 1st and 10, Seattle, opening drive. Tavares Jackson has it. And practically intercepted by Adrian Wilson coming across as the pass was intended for Doug Baldwin.
Love the fact that Tavares Jackson is breaking outside the pocket, but he never sees Adrian Wilson back across his body to the middle of the field, trying to squeeze it in there to Doug Baldwin. Terrific job by Adrian Wilson making a break on that football and should have had it.
And Tim, Jackson's got the arm, but he told us he does not like throwing in the rain.
Well, that's not good if you just signed a nice contract to be the quarterback here of the Seattle Seahawks.
A 2-year deal worth $8 million. The pitch is bobbled, but Marshawn Lynch has it. And it'll be 3rd and long. They wanted Tavares Jackson to kind of get the ball out a little bit quicker. No gain on that, 3rd and 10.
Watch this. Pull. You got everybody getting outside. They are running the power game, the Seattle Seahawks. Everybody talks about Tom Cable. Look at the wet ball bouncing out of his hand there. Talking about Tom Cable and the offensive line coach and all the zone blocking, which is really cooperation blocking. Everybody working together. I think we're going to see some power running, more man blocking for this offensive line today.
3rd down. And Tavares Jackson goes down at the 40-yard line. Calais Campbell got a grip and wouldn't let go.
Boy, and he finished it with an explanation point, too. He went right by Paul McQuiston and then grabbed Tavares Jackson and picked him up and just pancaked him. He's going to come inside here. Calais Campbell, look at that handwork. Knocking the hands down. Now he's going to grab Tavares. Now watch this. Pow!
That's Campbell's first sack of the season, the 6th for this Cardinal defense. John Ryan, it's a wet ball. And good field position for the Cardinals after they come up with a big defensive play. And by the way, McQuiston, the 13th different starting left guard for Seattle since Steve Hutchinson slipped away. And out of the Cardinals, and Kevin Kolb taking over on offense.
The more you get to sit and talk with Kevin Kolb, the more you like him. I mean, it's just amazing what he's done here, really only being here 7 weeks. Look at all the newness on that offense. Chester Taylor, of course, getting the start for Beanie Wells today. Larry Fitzgerald may be the best player in the NFL. And a couple of new faces up front. They really, really love how that inside trio is playing, especially Darren Collins.
Chester Taylor, who's in for Wells, a 10-year veteran who's been with the Vikings and the Bears and Baltimore, gets the carry. Now on defense, Alan Branch, a former Cardinal, and KJ Wright getting the start over Aaron Curry at linebacker.
Yeah, and they love the way that 4th-round pick KJ Wright is instinctive and smart. Maybe not the athlete Aaron Curry is, but a very good player. They're excited about him. Look out for Brandon Browner, a 6'4 corner, matched up on Larry Fitzgerald today.
Kevin Kolb. And there's a penalty flag down as it is intercepted by Earl Thomas. And Earl Thomas gets back to the 31-yard line of Arizona, but there's a flag near midfield.
And Todd Heath just got blindside blocked and took a vicious shot as he was trying to make the tackle.
That was on the return of the interception.
Oh, my goodness.
Looked like that's Todd Heath that they're checking on.
I think it was Cam Chancellor that hit him. It was wicked.
And Ken Wisenhunt is hot. So there's another flag over where Heath went down, and initially a flag thrown on the pass play that was intended. It was in the neighborhood of Fitzgerald. But Thomas came up with the pick. The Seahawks do not have a takeaway so far this season.
which is unusual for a Pete Carroll defense, as much as Pete loves to send pressure. They just showed that big block on the board here, and the Seattle fans, you hear all the oohs and the ahs.
That's over that vicious block. Let's listen to Alberto Riveron.
There were 2 fouls on the play. Both are on Seattle. Prior to the interception, illegal contact, number 39 on the defense. That'll be a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. During their return, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, also in Seattle. That penalty will be declined. First down, Arizona.
So Brandon Browner, the corner you referred to on Fitzgerald, the 6'4" corner, called for the illegal contact, and they're taking that penalty, turning down the late hit, or the illegal hit.
Well, this could galvanize this Arizona football team
look, they're still
right here,
heated,
because I'm telling you, Todd Heap,
here comes some of the Cardinal
one of
players.
the most well-liked player on this team, and he just got blindsided like you can't believe. Emotionally, Arizona right now, Chris, they're out of their minds.
Let's take a look at that block, because that was, if you're not looking, look out.
Yeah, and here's right to the right of your screen. There's Heap, 86. And
it was Cam Chancellor, as you called it.
You bet.
But they took the penalty on Browner, so Joey Porter is hot. The Cardinals will have a fresh set of downs and the football, so still no takeaways for Seattle. And we'll check on the health of Todd Heap. A rocky start here from the 39-yard line of Arizona.
I'll tell you right now, looking at these matchups in the secondary, when you look at this secondary versus this group of wide receivers, I promise you Kevin Cobb will have 40 throws in this game.
Chester Taylor. It'll bring up second down. Kevin Cobb, his 10th NFL start, settling in, and this has been called the loudest place on earth that doesn't have a lid on it.
It rocks. By far the loudest outdoor stadium I've ever done a game in, for sure. And if Seattle's going to do what I just saw there, and they're going to play that 2-back running game by keeping their safeties back, 2 deep safeties, there will be some nice running lanes for Chester Taylor.
All right, so Trufant lines up on Fitzgerald on second down. 5. And again, Chester Taylor with a first down into Seattle territory. Recently signed, kind of a last-minute addition. Remember, they had the injury to one running back in the preseason. They traded away Tim Hightower. And with the injury to Beanie Wells, it's Chester Taylor on the spot.
And 32 years old, but he's got fresh legs in year number 10. And pretty much a backup in Baltimore. Went to Minnesota, became the guy. Then Adrian Peterson was drafted. And he's been a supplemental back really ever since then in Minnesota and in Chicago.
Kevin Cobb for Fitzgerald, and Larry has it. Against Browner, 104th consecutive game with a reception for Larry Fitzgerald.
Everyone will tell you 39 at 6'4" is better in press coverage. Brandon Browner tries to get his hands on him. Larry gets him to turn his hips and run. Little stop and go right there. And then the safety late getting over the top. I'm telling you, it's been talked about that Brandon Browner is going to match up with Fitz all day. He's going to count on safety help over the top. It was late that time.
A 28-yard pickup. Chester Taylor, not a lot of room, and brought down in the backfield by Brandon Mebane from the Seattle defensive line up front. The 8-minute mark here in the opening quarter. It'll be second down and 11. 2 tight ends in now for Kevin Cobb. We welcome you, Tim Ryan, Chris Myers. Cardinals have the football. Seattle at the opening kickoff, and their drive stalled. Second and 11 for Kevin Cobb. Under pressure. Cobb goes down. Chris Clemens with his second sack of the year, and it's only the third sack for Seattle this season.
And watch Chris Clemens right here, and just watch his quickness off the football. And he is just going to come inside. That's a bust-in protection. Darren College does not turn out to pick him up. That guy is an elite pass rusher. If he's going to come free with no one blocking him, it was a breakdown in the protection.
Todd Heap is okay from the sideline, got the wind knocked out of him. Here it's 3rd and 23, 4 wide receivers for the Cardinals. Incomplete. Cobb was going for Chester Taylor. It's 4th down. And Jay Feely is coming out to attempt a field goal. As he was kicking in pregame warmups, he was hitting from 50 plus, but he told me that in this kind of weather, the ball just does not carry well. This will be a 51-yard attempt. Dave Zastudil is the holder. The kick is no good. Second miss of the year for Jay Feely. We are scoreless in the Seahawks home opener.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find fares online only at southwest.com.
Here in Seattle, Pete Carroll, first time he started out 0-2 in his head coaching career. That's college and pro. Turned 60 years old last week. Still has the energy of a 2-year-old.
Hard to keep up with him. And that's first question the guys you hang out with here in Seattle is, can you keep up with Pete's energy level? They all say yeah, and then I call him a liar.
On 1st and 10 for his Seahawk offense. Tavares Jackson to throw. And at the 45-yard line, catch is made. Let's get a game break update. Here's Kurt Menefee.
The Lions were down 20-0 at halftime in Minnesota. They get it to overtime. There, Matthew Stafford hooks up with Calvin Johnson on a 40-yard play on the opening possession, sets up a 32-yard game winner from a 20-year veteran, Jason Hanson. 26-23, Lions 3-0 for the first time since 1980. Chris and Tim.
All right, thanks, Kurt. And 0-3 for McNabb and the Vikings. On 2nd down, it's somebody jumps. Tavares Jackson, Tim, when you asked him what he learned from backing up Brett Favre in Minnesota, he said, well, one thing was the cadence.
The hard count. He said he had a terrible hard count when he got into the league. Then when Brett came in, he said he was getting guys to jump off sides everywhere. Really picked up that
Neutral
talent.
zone infraction. Number 79, defense. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
As a matter of fact, he said when he first got here, the offensive line, he was getting them to jump. He said it was hard for them to get used to my hard count. So clearly there it was pretty effective.
It gives the Seahawks a 1st down, looking for their first half points here in game 3. It's on! Marshawn Lynch. And broke a tackle from Clark Hagens that got inside the 45-yard line. He's still up and running out of the pile.
Nice block by Zach Miller here to chop down Darnell Dockett. Dockett's going to come flying through here. Now watch 86, who's going to come across the formation right here. Bang, take those legs out. That gives the initial crease. And then it's all Marshawn Lynch doing the rest.
5-yard pickup, 2nd down 5. Tavares Jackson has it and is looking for Rice. Did he hold on? Yes. Battling Adrian Wilson for the football. And Sidney says, I have it.
You think these two have a little bit of rapport? Sidney Rice and Tavares Jackson from the Minnesota days. Great job on the play action. Look at him selling that. And then if he can find Sidney Rice manned up on the safety, Adrian Wilson, he's going to take that shot. It was good coverage. It was a better throw.
It bounced off of Wilson's shoulder pads, it looked like.
Great concentration. Ty go to the receiver. Great concentration by Sidney Rice pulling that thing down. Hit him right in the face mask, it looked like.
Those two, Tavares Jackson and Sidney Rice, have connected 7 times for touchdowns in their Viking days. That's Lynch. And knocked out of bounds just over the 10-yard line, but an impressive drive for Seattle.
Just looks like here they found some rhythm. I mean, the short passing attack, getting it to Sidney Rice early in the game with the easier completions, the underneath completions. Then they take a shot, they're able to hit it. Talking to Pete during the week, he said, we will get sharper. We knew it was going to be a work in progress. We got 8 new starters on offense. We'll get sharper. Chris, today they're sharper.
2nd down 8. Lynch, nowhere to go. Joey Porter throws him down and had help back there from Stuart Bradley. The one-time Eagle. It'll bring up 3rd down.
How about Adrian Wilson? This is what you call setting the edge. Watch 24. So he'll come from this side of your screen. The fullback's going to try to block him. That's what you call force. You're going to keep your outside shoulder free. You're going to force the ball back inside to all your help. That was textbook by Adrian Wilson.
And a 3-yard loss, so it's 3rd and 11 from the 13.
Hey, 5-1.
Tavares Jackson to Justin Forsett. And that won't work. 4 Cardinals bring him down, and Calais Campbell part of that group, so it will force a field goal attempt for Seattle. An earlier 51-yard field goal from Jay Feely was no good. This will be the Seahawks' first scoring opportunity. It'll be a 30-yard attempt for Stephen Hauschka. Seahawks were caught off guard when Alinda Mare signed a big contract, a 4-year, $12 million deal with Carolina. So Hauschka, the man. The kick is good. And the first half points and the first lead for the Seahawks this season. It's 3-0 over the Cardinals.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Some of the great fans here in Seattle got caught up on the highways. The president arriving on Air Force One here in the Seattle area. Shut down some of the roads, but the 70th straight sellout for the Seahawks as Stephen Hauschka gets ready to kick off. He does not have a touchback this year, and it looks like Todd Heap is ready for action.
That is great. Happy for Todd Heap, who just got plastered at the start of this game.
The sun is out in Seattle, and A.J. Jefferson has it. A.J. Jefferson is loose. All the way out to the 48-yard line. What a return by A.J. Jefferson, 51 yards.
Got great blocking by his second line, and then just was dragging people. Do you see him drag Hauschka about 6 yards?
Today's game is sponsored by DirecTV. This season, NFL Sunday Ticket is included when you switch. By State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. And by Sprint. All football, no limits. Only from Sprint.
Kicker Stephen Hauschka doing everything he can to prevent the return.
This is the Chris Myers tackle. You know, just hang on and go. I think about you water skiing. When you fall, you're not letting go of the rope, are you?
If you're
going to drag you.
All right, 1st and 10 for the Cardinals. Excellent field position. Chester Taylor carries. Remember, Beanie Wells out with a hamstring that he hurt in practice this week, so he was inactive from the start of the game. And the Seahawks were ready there.
If there's one thing Seattle, Chris, has done well the first 2 games this season is run defense. And Big Red Bryant, you're going to see him right here. He's the immovable object. You just don't move that guy. Able to pursue down the line of scrimmage. That group, that front 4 for Seattle, without question, is the strength of this football team.
2nd and 10. Cobb wide open. He juggled it and held on. The fullback, Anthony Sherman. They had 2 tight ends. Todd Heap and Jeff King came back in on that play.
Well, that's a Larry Fitzgerald factor right there. And I think when you watch Fitz, and you can always just diagnose what side of the field he's on. Here he's going to run a corner route, and then watch all this open space for the fullback to leak out to. There goes Fitzgerald. You got 2 over 1 on Fitzgerald, a linebacker in a corner, and there's nobody there for the fullback who gets about a 6-yard gain.
3 wide receivers on 3rd and 4. They're all on the left. There goes Fitzgerald. And Cobb is going to keep and dive to the 40 for a first down. Not a running quarterback, Kevin Cobb, but a natural-born leader.
He's a better athlete than you think. He's an underrated athlete. And I think the thing about Kevin Cobb is nobody talks about his movement skills. That time he just used his brain. He read that they were in man under 2 deep coverage, that there's a lot of guys playing man in the underneath stuff. They were running the defenders with their backs to him. Quarterbacks see that, they're going to take off and run.
And he's got the arm. We've seen the big plays from him already. Taylor. And the Seahawks, as Tim said, sworn to stop the run. Let's get a game break and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, Buffalo running back Fred Jackson out of my alma mater, Coe College, not only leading the NFL in rushing, but leading the Bills in the comeback down at the 1-yard line here late against New England. Led to the game-winning field goal by Ryan Lindell. Buffalo gets the win 34-31 after being down 21-0. Chris, Tim?
All right, Coe College, you're all over that, Kurt. He is, I bet you, in my mind, the most underrated back in the pro game. Fred Jackson.
And we had somebody jump and a penalty flag flies on 2nd down. The noise in here is difficult sometimes even for the defense.
Offside, number 98 defense, unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty.
That's on Raheem Brock. And Pete Carroll, he said for our program, almost as if he sounded he was back in college, the noise of the crowd is something we really count on.
Well, and that's why there's no excuse for Raheem Brock to jump off sides. The offense is going on a silent count. Tilt your nose in there and peek at the ball a little bit.
4 wide receivers on 2nd down and 2 after the penalty. And they're going to let it run out for the opening quarter. The Cardinals will have a chance to talk about things. And so will Pete Carroll. That's the end of the first quarter with the score. The Seahawks 3, the Cardinals nothing. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a break from your local station. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, the NFL on Fox from Seattle. Home opener for the Seahawks and 2nd down 2 for the Cardinals.
And I'm glad they got their 2 tight ends in the game, and one of those being Todd Heap lined up at fullback.
Chester Taylor carries and looks like he'll be stopped short. That'll bring up 3rd down and short for the Arizona Cardinals. So we talked about Seattle happy to be home after a couple of losses to start the season on the road. What's the vibe so far?
Well, it's a great vibe here. The atmosphere in this place is awesome, and they're feeding off of it. This is the sharpest I've seen them this year. It is a very evenly matched game, and I'll tell you the 2 big plays, it's a sack by each team that have had a major factor here in the first quarter plus of this football game.
Double duel!
Cobb underneath completes to Todd Heap. And that's enough for an Arizona first down. Coming back after that hit that Cam Chancellor delivered on him on the interception that was nullified by a penalty.
And you can tell, I mean, Todd Heap has been here for 2 months, or with Arizona for 2 months. Did you see how they galvanized that football team when he went down and they all came to his defense? They love that guy. And there's the numbers, and as you see, they're really evenly matched when you look at it.
Tight end Jeff King has been a good target in this area on 1st and 10. And Chester Taylor will carry, and Seattle's just not giving up much on the run. Chris Clemens there. We talked about that being their strength, and without Beanie Wells, I mean, Wells had come off 2 outstanding games, so the offensive line was doing its job for Arizona.
Absolutely, and I love this guy, Chris Clemens. I mean, going to get rid of the tight end, fall back inside, and nobody there to block him. The guy really, last year, his first opportunity to become a full-time starter. He's on his 5th team, and he ran with it with 11 sacks. Very good player both in the run and the pass.
Alphonso Smith in at running back on 2nd and 9. Cobb keeps, throws behind Todd Heap. David Hawthorne was covering for Seattle.
And he will want that one back because Todd Heap was open enough that if Kevin Cobb puts that ball out in front of him, Heap's got it. See how the ball was behind him? He had the defender Hawthorne beat. There was no safety in the middle of the field. They were out helping on the perimeter on Larry Fitzgerald. Not a good throw by Kevin Cobb.
So now 3rd down. He took a sack earlier that pushed back a long field goal, and Jay Feely missed it. See what Cobb does here. Late blitz. And incomplete. The pressure up the middle forced the throw to be batted down, and Earl Thomas on the spot.
Well, you know Pete Carroll, a defensive guy, is going to send the pressure. They end up sending Atari Bigby here, and then watch 29 just come flying from the back end, Earl Thomas. Look at his ability to avoid the offensive blockers and get right in the throwing lane of Kevin Cobb and bat that ball down. That's a huge play.
A 44-yard field goal attempt for Jay Feely. And this time, he delivers after missing a 51-yarder in the opening quarter. It's the way you thought it would be. 3-3, Cardinals and Seahawks.
Today's game is sponsored by Verizon, America's largest and most reliable wireless network. By the Ford F-150, the only truck available with EcoBoost. And by the Miller Lite aluminum pint, 4 more ounces of that great Pilsner taste.
Pete Carroll inspiring staff and players.
Yeah, and you see Richard Sherman there, the rookie. He's another 6'3" corner. And Pete Carroll told us in the meetings, he said, look, you're trying to cover Larry Fitzgerald. You've got to control your division. You got to go get big corners. Brandon Browner on the team. He's 6'4". He's matched up on Fitz today. And then the draft pick, Richard Sherman, 6'3".
Jay Feely and Leon Washington bobbles it, falls on it, and is down at the 11-yard line. One of the top returners in the game couldn't come up with it cleanly. But Seattle's defense has kept Kevin Cobb and the Cardinal offense so far in check. Coordinator Darrell Bevell, who came over from Minnesota, where he had Tavares Jackson and Sidney Rice.
Yeah, and you see the numbers there. Last in the NFL in run plays and pass plays in terms of the average. Look, it's been ugly, but everybody said, well, here comes the coordinator, and he's bringing Tavares Jackson, and he knows the system. Well, he and Sidney Rice know the system, but what about the other 9 guys on the offense who are trying to figure it out?
Marshawn Lynch carries on 1st down, a big hole, and he's still going all the way out to the 35-yard line.
Don't
23-yard gain.
Don't let this slot car get cranked up because he is going to go. Look at this big hole that he ends up running through behind the rookies over on the right side. I mean, and again, Zach Miller with another outstanding block. You see Moffitt, the right guard. You see James Carpenter, the rookie right tackle. They're pushing guys out. And then Lynch with the vision cut right off the block or inside the block of Zach Miller, who was terrific.
Quick pitch to Baldwin from the receiver spot and brought down for a loss at the 30-yard line. Darrell Washington led the charge. This October, the American League's best teams will look to their brightest stars to see which one will become the newest hero that leads them into the Fall Classic. Legends are born in October, and our exclusive coverage of the American League Championship Series, the ALCS, begins only on Fox October 8th. So the Yankees are in, the Tigers are in, and the Arizona Diamondbacks on the National League side in the postseason on 2nd and 12. Tavares Jackson held it and brought down by Calais Campbell, his 2nd sack of the game.
And if I'm Ray Horton, the defensive coordinator, I'm going to continue to do what he's been doing. That's send 4 guys. Everybody knows Ray Horton and his Steeler lineage is going to blitz people. He has not blitzed in this game. Look at the coverage. They're rushing 4. That means they're dropping 7 guys in coverage. They're covering everybody underneath in man, and then they got 2 safeties free over the top. Little change up, a scale back from the defensive coordinator, Ray Horton.
On 3rd and 18. Thrown out of bounds and incomplete. And the fans here are frustrated. They thought the Seahawks offense would get it right against a Cardinal defense that wasn't getting a lot right.
Sacks are just killer. I mean, second down sacks are killer when they knock you into the 3rd and super long range. And that time Ray Horton said, forget it. With this long down and distance, we are going to bring the heat, and brought an extra safety and a linebacker.
So John Ryan to punt to Patrick Peterson, the rookie, who has had a return for a touchdown. That was in the opener against Carolina. Peterson hauls it in and goes out of bounds just across the 21-yard line. These 2 teams the last 7 years have decided who wins the NFC West. So far, we're tied at 3. Here in Seattle, 3-3 in the second quarter. First down for Kevin Cobb and the Cardinals, and Aaron Curry, who was drafted 4th overall but benched for this game in favor of KJ Wright, back out there as a linebacker for Seattle, and Alphonso Smith, the running back.
Lock it.
Cobb for Fitzgerald, and he got it in there between 2 defenders.
That's a great throw, and that's where Kevin Cobb loves to throw, to his right from the numbers to the sideline. And you'd love to see Aaron Curry get a little more depth here. He knows he's got to get back and get in front of this corner route on Larry Fitzgerald. Does not get enough depth, and that's just a perfect throw.
They hurry to the line on 2nd and 1. Cobb looks to throw and does complete to Alphonso Smith, who has a first down and goes out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Alphonso Smith in his 2nd year, a free agent from Kentucky who was on the practice squad last year. And Tim, he worked hard as they hurried to the line. In the preseason, he ran the ball well, but that's his first touching of the football in a regular season game.
Talking to Rod Graves, they really have high hopes for this guy. This is going to be stressful now on this Seattle defense, this no-huddle offense.
Smith, Alphonso carries again. After a 13-yard gain on the pass play, he picks up some on the ground.
And I think what they're doing here really will help simplify what their offensive line is looking at. And Ken Wisenhunt knows that Pete Carroll is running a lot of different exotic-looking coverages so far in this game, which I think has had Kevin Cobb a little bit out of rhythm and out of whack. This no-huddle will make those coverages transparent and simpler for the offense to see.
And Levi, we have a timeout on the field here. We're trying to figure out whether it's an injury or a called timeout. We'll sort it out in a moment. A hamstring has kept Beanie Wells inactive for this game. Chester Taylor started, and we've seen Alphonso Smith come in. Levi Brown was injured, so Jeremy Bridges comes in for him at left tackle on 2nd down, 5.
5 down.
Cobb, Fitzgerald, first down. Marcus Trufant was on him that time.
Larry knows he's got man coverage. He's just going to run the slant right in front of Trufant, who is as good as anybody playing off and soft, but with a cushion like that to Fitzgerald, forget about it.
15-yard pickup, and they're hurrying to the line.
It's going to be easier for Kevin Cobb to get a bigger snapshot, Chris, of what this defense is doing coverage-wise.
And another completion, this one going to Todd Heap. And here they go again.
And that's what I mean by that. Look, every time you go to the huddle, you're giving the defense an opportunity when you get to the line to change what they're doing, to jump around, to do different things. As you see here, Kevin Cobb at the line of scrimmage, it's going to force Seattle defensively to be ready at any time for a snap, which is going to make their coverages transparent and more or less generic.
Cobb to his left and completes to Andre Roberts for a first down.
And here's your little bunch principle over here. You got 2 tight ends and you got Andre Roberts, and they're just going to try to zone it off, that being the Seahawks, and you ended up having 2 guys playing shallow on the tight end, and nobody got any depth to get in front of Andre Roberts.
Alphonso Smith, in his second year out of Louisville, where he ran track and was a steady back, good vision and good in protection, according to Ken Wisenhunt.
Well, and that's what Rod Graves told me about him. You talk about his track background. He said this dude can absolutely fly when he gets into the open field. There's nobody that's going to catch him.
We're right there.
Kevin Cobb from the pocket. And out of the pocket for Fitzgerald in the end zone. Touchdown, Cardinals. And there is your all-time touchdown reception leader for the Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald. He was tied with Roy Green coming in.
How much confidence does Kevin Cobb have in Larry Fitzgerald? Here's the matchup. I pointed it out, but Cobb's going to see the safety fly over the top. There's the safety. Now it's all about scramble rules. Just go make a play. This is where trust comes into play for Kevin Cobb and Larry Fitzgerald. Kevin knows that even if he throws a bad ball up there against double coverage, at the very least, Larry Fitzgerald's going to go play defense and knock it down. At the very best, he's going to catch it over 2 guys for a touchdown. Gotta love it.
12-yard touchdown pass to Larry Fitzgerald, who, if he gets his hands on it, seems to always haul it in. And the extra point from Feely has quieted down this Seahawk home opening crowd. The Cardinals, on the Fitzgerald catch, have the lead. His 5th touchdown pass of the season.
Yeah, and I asked Larry Fitzgerald yesterday about Kevin Cobb, who's been here really short of 2 months. I said, tell me what Kevin Cobb does. I mean, after playing with Kurt for all those years and all the greatness you achieved, and then last year it was ugly for everybody. How about Kevin Cobb? What's that guy mean to you? And Larry looked right at us and said, he has given me life, quote, end quote.
Yeah, because he said last year coming up to Seattle, Larry said with the quarterbacks, it seemed like you're coming to a funeral. They went through 4 different quarterbacks who couldn't get the ball to receivers. But certainly Cobb can do that.
And think about the upside about how much better Kevin Cobb can get within this offense. We asked Larry Fitzgerald, where is he in terms of really the details and understanding the passing game and all the stuff that you can do versus different coverages and, you know, the adjustments that you make on the field after the snap. He said he's only at about 60%. Think about that. And this guy's been a top 5 quarterback through 2.5 games.
Yeah, this is
been outstanding.
His 10th NFL start. And they're going to have to hold the ball for Feely to kick off. That's Michael Adams holding it, and Feely's going to squib it because he doesn't want Leon Washington to have any room to return it, and that worked for the Cardinals. So Seattle will take over at the 20-yard line. Larry Fitzgerald can catch everything. This November, Fox Sports steps into the octagon with an epic heavyweight title fight as the top-ranked contender in the world. Junior Dos Santos squares off with the undefeated world champion Cain Velasquez. It's a must-see live event, and you can only see it on Fox. It's for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World, live November 12th on Fox. On first down, Marshawn Lynch, and twisting and fighting out to the 28-yard line with Kerry Rhodes, the leading tackler for the Cardinals in the first 2 games, brings him down.
You just got to love the way Marshawn Lynch runs the football. He's what you call a split-legged runner, which means he'll never get his feet together, which means he's always got a great base and a foundation with the wide base, and he just runs through people. And you're not going to arm tackle him. You're not going to hit him and make him lose his balance and fall down. And I think a big part of that, Chris, is just his running style, you know, split-legged with a wide base.
Lynch will carry for a first down across the 31-yard line. Let's check in on Baltimore and St. Louis. Kurt Menefee has a game break.
Why would you take Baltimore's Torrey Smith on your fantasy team? I mean, he had never caught an NFL pass. Today in St. Louis, he caught 3, all in the first quarter, all for touchdowns. First 3 NFL catches, 3 touchdowns, 21-0. Baltimore on top of the Rams now in the second. Chris and Tim.
All right, thanks, Kurt. A good bounce-back game so far for the Ravens. The Rams still looking for that first win of the season, just like the Seahawks are here. Tavares Jackson with time to throw, but he can't find anybody. So he'll keep. and get across the 35-yard line. He said on the plane ride back from Pittsburgh, Tim, that right away he was on the iPad looking at the game and said that we were conservative.
No question. And you got zone coverage out here to your right. You got zone coverage out to your left. And that's just matchup zone, which means we're going to take a guy who comes into our zone and we'll match with him. I'll tell you one thing about Tavares Jackson is when he sees the rush, and he does look at the rush, and that's a bad habit. Things break down for him. Not able to extend a lot of plays and then strike down the field deep.
Leon Washington gets the carry, and he's quick. He's little, 5'8", first down.
Let's watch the center and the right guard and what they do to the nose tackle here on this play. Always the key to the inside zone play. What a good job by Unger, and then of course Moffitt getting up on the linebacker, and a huge hole for Leon Washington.
The sun is out in Seattle after a 21-yard run. Washington stays in the game, and this time the Cardinals are ready for him. Stopped right there, maybe a yard, as Darrell Washington and Darnell Dockett were in his way.
We didn't get to see Darrell Washington in the game we did last week in Washington against the Redskins. He's had a pulled calf. This is the best player on their defense. He's young. He's in year number 2. He's out of Texas Christian. He was a high pick. And he's a triple threat, whether it's tackling, whether it's covering, whether it's blitzing. Darrell Washington's the best player on the Cardinals D.
On second down, Washington stays in the game. Tavares Jackson trying to get out. The penalty flag flies as Joey Porter was all over him.
I think they're going to get holding on top of it on Russell Okung on Joey Porter.
They came up. They've given up 10 sacks coming into the game, the Seattle line.
Holding, number 75, offense. A penalty will be declined. Third down.
We're going to call that on James Carpenter, their first-round pick, starting on that right side with the other rookie, John Moffitt.
Joey Porter can still rush the passer. But the thing is you've got to understand how to use him. And he can't be a guy that goes and plays 60, 65 reps a game. If you can keep him down to 40, 45 plays, there's still enough juice left for Joey Porter to have that pass rusher's impact.
Leon Washington. And an interesting call on third down at that area of the field. Talk about conservative, as Tavares Jackson said. So far he's 6 out of 9 in the game. And the Seahawks will line up to punt.
It's gone sideways though for Tavares Jackson really since the first quarter, when it was all get it out quick, let him see the zone, get to that back step and fire it on time. Since then the rush has gotten better and his play has dropped down.
Yeah, 3 catches for Sidney Rice early as Ryan boots it. Patrick Peterson will let it go. There's sun and shadows back there, so that's a nice looking kick and an excellent special teams play by the Seahawks, who will pin the Cardinals down inside the 5. A 46-yard boot. Larry Fitzgerald does a lot of little things. Great attention to detail, meticulous. That's line coach Russ Grimm last week, flipping the ball before the game so that he can catch the ball without even having to think about it over his shoulder. And then even in the stretching exercises, he's catching the football.
And you know what kind of guy Larry Fitzgerald is as good of a player he is, and he's a better person, is he's going to get better every day. He is never, ever satisfied. He's one of those guys, you go in the weight room and you do 10 reps. The next day with the same weight, he's got to do 11 reps. He'll never sit and rest on his laurels.
And when he signed the new contract, he said, it motivates me even more. Alphonso Smith. Some tough running. Earl Thomas from the safety spot brought him down near another first down.
Watch what he gets from his right tackle right here, Brandon Keith. We talked about Big Red Bryant. You can't block him. Watch that. I mean, he takes Red about 3 yards back and puts him on his back, which gave the huge running lane for about 9 yards.
Quick pass to Fitzgerald. Short, and Marcus Trufant was right on him. So now it's going to be third down for Cobb in the offense. And the crowd is going to get going again. In NASCAR, they have something called Crank It Up, where fans like to hear the engines roar. And they cranked it up as Leroy Hill made the stop and forces a 4th down punt.
That's where you missed the 230-pound running back in Beanie Wells. Really.
Cards will probably let it run, Tim, to the 2-minute mark here with a 7-point lead. As Beanie Wells watches Alphonso Smith and Chester Taylor share the work. Cardinals will be punting at the 2-minute mark. The skies have cleared here in Seattle for the Seahawks home opener. Trying to dig out of an 0-2 start with some rain earlier. Things have dried out here a little bit on the field. And Leon Washington anxious to try and give Seattle field position here, trailing by 7.
You know why it got blue so fast? Look at those clouds. I mean, look at that wind. Just blew the clouds right out of here.
So the punt may shift from one side of the field to the other for Dave Zastudil, standing at his own end zone. Here comes Washington. And in Cardinal territory, where the Seahawks will take over. And coming up, the Visa halftime. Kurt Menefee, what's going on?
All right, guys, it seems as though the more weeks we go in the NFL, the more excitement we find. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, we'll have all the scores and highlights from a huge week 3, including monster comebacks by both the Bills and the Lions to remain unbeaten. But for now, back to you. We'll see you at halftime.
Thanks, Kurt and Jimmy Howie, Terry and Michael and the gang. Justin Forsett is in. Tavares Jackson has it. Throws and completes to Sidney Rice, his 4th catch of the game.
The Cardinals have got to start getting 2 guys on Sidney Rice. Clearly, that is the security blanket in this game for Tavares Jackson. Those 2 have been on the same page. I don't believe there's been another wide receiver that's got a catch.
In that direction again. What a grab. 6'4" Sidney Rice reaching those arms out, looking a little bit like Larry Fitzgerald on that catch.
Well, he's not Larry Fitzgerald, but he can do those same types of things, Chris. They call going and getting it out of frame. If it's not a perfect throw, he's got the ability with those long arms to go capture it.
Gain of 8. 2nd down 2. Pressure coming. Unloads it, and it hit the ground with a low throw for Forsett. He might have had some running room there, so it'll bring up 3rd down.
Surprised they did not take a shot to Sidney Rice down the sideline. I mean, this is the perfect spot at 2nd and 2. There was no safety help over the top. I mean, this is it, and there is nobody helping out. Throw it up to your 6'4" receiver and give him a chance the way we saw Cobb do with Larry Fitzgerald, who had 2 guys on it.
And Mike Williams was one-on-one at 6'5" on the other side. So it's 3rd and 2. They have all 3 of their timeouts. Darrell Bevell will make the call.
No. Five.
Jackson for Ben Obamanu. 1st down, Seattle.
Nice job in the blitz pickup there by Justin Forsett. All 5'8" of them. The Cardinals will send backers as much as anybody. Here comes the backer. Watch 20 take him out. Bang. Tavares. When Tavares gets it out on time, Chris, and he hits that back step and he fires it, has good protection as he did that time, it all looks good.
Forsett stays in at 1st and 10. Cardinals threaten pressure and somebody jumps.
False start, number 76. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Can't blame the crowd on that one when you're the home team offensive lineman.
Yeah, Pete will blame his guys. Look, you can't self-inflict in terms of wounds to yourself when you're not very good. This is not a very good team. There's not a big margin for error.
And the Cardinals last week had 10 penalties.
Yep.
That's something that Ken Wisenhunt said we got to cut back on.
It's Tom Cable, the offensive line coach.
So 1st down at 15 now. Jackson's going to have to run it. He can't get far. Calais Campbell and Darnell Dockett in. And since 2007, no defensive tackle that's had more sacks than Darnell Dockett. Seattle is going to burn a timeout.
Watch Doc. Watch his pad level here. Now he's going to get help from Calais as well. But look at the chop. Look at the swim. My goodness, you chop the arms down, and then you go for the quick swim. And then, as we said, all the good ones, what they can do is they can get to an edge, then they can finish. Perfect move, perfect execution of getting to the edge. And then the beauty of Darnell Dockett is the ability to finish and get to the quarterback.
Next week in the NFL, some of the early games, the 49ers and Eagles. Michael Vick injured today. We'll update that at the half. In the late games, the Seahawks will host Atlanta. Some of you will see the Giants and Cardinals. It's the NFL on Fox. We hope you tune in not only next week, every week, and it begins with our Ford Built Tough pregame show. 4 wide receivers on second down. Pass is almost intercepted. A.J. Jefferson from the corner spot. If he could have held on, would have had a lot of room down the sideline. And listen to the crowd.
Well, they were spoiled for so many years with Matt Hasselbeck. You know it and I know it. And here's a little route, 2-concept route. You got double outs. I don't think either receiver knew it was coming to them. That's not a good throw from Tavares Jackson.
Got to be careful with field goal range here as well.
Worst thing you can do here, Chris, is take a sack. You've got to get positive yards.
4 wide receivers on third down. Time in the pocket. Floats it for the end zone. And incomplete. Jefferson was back there covering Sidney Rice. And you're looking up in the sun at that area of the field as well. 4th down. So Stephen Hauschka, who has made a 54-yard field goal in his career, will attempt a lengthy one here. He was good earlier from 30. This will be 52.
Watch out for big 93 Calais Campbell on these long kicks with those long arms and getting the bat down.
Snap and hold are good. The kick sails through from 52. So the Seahawks get some points out of it.
You made a rhyme.
By accident.
Look at the body language. Body English.
He's leaning the other way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Pete Carroll was leaning inside to try to help that get through. 43 seconds remain here in the first half. And Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy will have all the highlights, including how the Lions had to rally and how Buffalo beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. Are you a believer in the Buffalo Bills, Tim Ryan?
I'm a believer in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and we know about Fred Jackson, the most underrated running back in the league. What I love about Fitzpatrick is that he is an extension of Chan Gailey, and we often talk about some of the best offensive minds in the league. Chan Gailey is certainly one of the top 5 offensive minds in the league, schematically setting guys up, formation-wise, getting advantages. And Fitzpatrick, really, because of his brightness, is an extension of the head coach, and you see it on Sundays.
And so Buffalo and the Lions are 3-0. That's what's great about the NFL.
You know what I call it, right? NFL, the National Fake You Out League. You never know.
And you never know what's going to happen here. Seattle moves to within 4 points as Hauschka still looking for that first touchback. And it won't come here. Jefferson has some running room. And he glides out across the 26-yard line where he's knocked down with 37 seconds remaining. And the Cardinals have 2 timeouts. Let's take a look at some of those early game performances. And Brady ran up a lot of yardage, but obviously on the losing end. What about that, Michael Vick? It's the non-throwing hand, but he just came off an injury.
Well, it's still, look, the guy's got to catch shotgun passes. He's got to take snaps. I mean, just because it's the non-throwing hand doesn't mean that it's not going to have a factor on Vick's game.
And his backup from last year is here in Arizona, Kevin Cobb, a second-round pick, and Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. And that could turn out to be the deal of the decade for Rod Graves and the Cardinals if Cobb settles in. Complete to early Doucette at the 35-yard line. The Cardinals were actually interested in Matt Hasselbeck before they made the deal for Kevin Cobb as the Cardinals burn a timeout. Hasselbeck went on to Tennessee after he turned down an early offer from Seattle. I guess the Seahawks thought they might keep him here first. And Seattle was interested.
They tried to get him back. That's right.
Kevin Cobb as
well. A lot of people were interested in Matt Hasselbeck. And that's what I said earlier. I mean, these fans here got spoiled for so many years You know, Matt was elite at one point during his career, and last year didn't play very good, certainly in the beginning part of the season, but as they got closer to the playoffs, his game started to pick up the more he got healthy. He is missed very much so here early on in Seattle. Matt Hasselbeck.
In Tennessee, his team is 2-1. That's where Kevin Cobb is trying to take the Cardinals.
I got it. Bam.
Plenty of time, and underneath for the first down is Alphonso Smith, and he wisely gets out of bounds. 18 seconds to go in the half. From what you've seen of Alphonso Smith, what do you think so far?
Well, he's much better in space than he is when he's trying to run into 300-pound defensive linemen. He's quick.
After the 6-yard gain from the 41, it'll be 1st and 10. 1 timeout remaining, Arizona. Larry Fitzgerald is to the left of Cobb. Smith remains the back, so top of your screen, Fitzgerald. Cobb goes to Todd Heap, who falls forward
timeout
near another first down, and they'll burn their last timeout.
Kevin Cobb has been so much better since he got into the no huddle, and here's early. They were huddling up. They're getting to the line of scrimmage. They were getting some good pressure on him. He was out of whack, out of sync. And then they started to go to the no huddle. Then he started to get a look at what coverages and really limiting what coverages Pete Carroll was going to be able to play. And then, of course, took that great shot in double coverage, extended the play with his legs, bought some time, and then takes a shot to Larry Fitzgerald with 2 guys on him. What didn't start out very good has turned out really good once they've gone, especially now to the hurry up at the line of scrimmage.
13 out of 16 so far for Cobb. No timeouts for the Cardinals.
They got to work it down the sideline.
And it's 2nd and 1. They did not get the first. To the sideline, and early Doucette steps out of bounds with a first down and 8 seconds remaining. Near the 42-yard line. We'll see where they mark it. Ken wasn't really angling to try and get a Jay Feely field goal, whose career long is 55. So from the 41.
You got to get one more of those little sideline pops and get him into range where he'll feel comfortable.
Cobb for Fitzgerald, and it's intercepted. That's Marcus Trufant. And a penalty flag comes in after the interception as he goes down at the 39-yard line, and the clock runs out. We'll check the penalty. Again, it was well after the interception.
Super play by Trufant. That's 9 years in pro football and understanding what's coming at you. Very clever play by Marcus.
During the return, after the change of possession, there's a personal foul, low block, number 46 on Arizona. Therefore, it will be a 15-yard penalty, 1 on-time down, first down Seattle.
That's on Alphonso Smith, and Tim, that's big. They might get a shot if they want.
Watch Trufant. Now, he's got this flat area out here. They're going to run somebody in front of him. He says, forget it. Watch him get depth and sink right into the throwing lane and pick that off in front of Larry Fitzgerald. That's outstanding by Marcus Trufant.
So from where the ball was intercepted, let's see where the penalty, how far that takes it. You might get a Hail Mary throw. You'll have one last play because the penalty was on the Cardinals. And they're marching it all the way out to the 46-yard line of Seattle.
Love that for Trufant, Chris. That's just being a player. The scheme told him, you've got the flat. You've got the numbers to the sideline. That's your area. And he said, forget it. I'm just going to be a football player and kind of read the quarterback and read the concept of the route. And he jumped right and really dropped right in front of that throw for the pick.
All right, so this has to be an end zone or a pass interference where you would get one play after that. 3 receivers on the right.
So we got to see a few laterals here somewhere.
Tavares Jackson running around and heaving it short of the 15-yard line, and that is intercepted by Patrick Peterson. the rookie corner from LSU. And that will end the first half. Richard Marshall down on the field for Arizona. But at the half, the Cardinals lead 10-6 in Seattle. Coming up, the Visa halftime report. Cardinals try to stay atop the NFC West. The Seahawks try to win their first game of the year. Their home opener here in Seattle at 10-6, getting ready for the start of the third quarter with Tim Ryan. I'm Chris Myers. It's been an interesting battle so far for the Cardinals. Their much criticized defense has held up rather well.
Well, they certainly have. Now, they started a little left-handed in the beginning of the game, but I love what defensive coordinator Ray Horton has done in kind of pulling it back, scaling it back, less pressure in terms of sending all the blitzes. And they have gotten after Tavares Jackson with their front four and forced him to be inaccurate. Look, Tavares started 6-9 in this game. Since then, he's completed 3 passes and he's been sacked 3 times. Arizona's defense, they've gotten 4 sacks in this game already, and predominantly it's been by their front four without having to send the pressure and the blitzers.
Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. And you saw in the video from the first half, we've seen all kinds of weather from light rain to heavy rain, clouds, now some sun. So the field is dry. The Cardinals will get the football to start the second half. And the fans that were so loud and noisy as things got started have settled in and are wondering what they can expect.
Well, they can expect, I would think, Kevin Cobb to come out here and run the no huddle again. He was so effective running the no huddle in the second quarter of this game. And what to me is amazing about it is the guy hasn't even been with these coaches or these players for 2 months. He's still trying to understand the scheme. He doesn't have all of the installation. He's just going out and playing football and being really solid in terms of his execution.
Stephen Hauschka providing all the scoring for the Seahawks on 2 field goals. And a short kick that A.J. Jefferson comes up on. And is brought down. Not yet, but just short of the 25. He's in there because of LaRod Stevens-Howling's injury. And let's welcome Drea Avent down on the field. Drea?
Hi, Chris. Well, I spoke to Coach Wisenhunt, and he said he's happy with the way things are going on the offensive side of the ball. He said that he really likes the balance out there. But on defense, he said we need to do a better job at stopping the run. But he does like the pressure they're getting on Tavares Jackson and Pete Carroll. He told me there's a lot of things we need to improve out there. Tavares needs to get rid of the ball quicker. We need to improve on our down and distance. But he did say that he does like the run defense. He said that's the positive, guys.
Thanks, Drea. Alphonso Smith, the running back, on first down. He carries and picks up 2 or 3 yards. Larry Fitzgerald, 5 catches in the first half, including the touchdown grab, the only touchdown of this game.
Look, I would expect the Cardinals to continue what they're doing on both sides of the ball, and that means really trying to get a good portion of it to Larry Fitzgerald, whether he's got 1 or 2 guys on him. Defensively, same thing. When you talk about Seattle, Tavares Jackson's got to figure out how to make a play once his first read breaks down. I mean, if he doesn't get it out right away and he's got to start improvising, he has not been effective at all.
Todd Heath splits out to the right. 2nd and 6. Cobb. Early Doucette. First down at the 40. The statistics in the first half after we check a 12-yard gain from Cobb to Doucette.
Here's the big number right here. 4 sacks. Otherwise, Seattle's actually been able to run the ball much better than they certainly have in the first 2 games. They averaged 48 yards a game coming in on the ground. I've almost doubled that up already.
Cobb stumbles but gets it to Alphonso Smith. You wonder how much that howling crowd figured in on that. That'll be a loss and bring up 2nd down. So remember, Beanie Wells, the hamstring, inactive. He heard it in practice this week. So that's why Smith and Chester Taylor have been the running backs.
Look at the foot. You see the foot? Anytime a quarterback comes out like that and falls down, it's typically the left guard steps on him. That's exactly what happened to Kevin Cobb.
Lyle Senline barking on 2nd and 11. Alphonso Smith slips 1 tackle, tries to slip another, and makes a lot out of a little to the 44-yard line before Walter Thurman brought him down.
Terrific run blitz. They dialed up a perfect run blitz, did Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, and Alfonso Smith ran through that first tackle by Earl Thomas. There's Gus there.
5-yard gain. It'll be 3rd and 6.
Mike, Mike.
Cobb, incomplete. Todd Heap, intended target. Coverage was good by Cam Chancellor, leading tackler in the first 2 games for Seattle.
And Cobb had to get that out early because the pressure is coming away from the running back. Watch Chris Clemens. He's just going to run around Levi Brown. And Kevin knows he's got to get that ball out early or he's going to get blasted. Chancellor did a nice job in coverage, but that was really all about Chris Clemens getting there in about 2.3 seconds.
So Dave Zastudil from the 31 with a boot. And Leon Washington will return. Across the 25-yard line, Jeff King makes the special teams play. Seahawks will be on offense after their defense does its job.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Tim Wright, Chris Myers here in Seattle, and you talked about the defensive improvement in this game, those young corners for Arizona.
Yeah, A.J. Jefferson on the right, second-year player. Patrick Peterson on the left, who has got tremendous upside. They have played better today, and I'll tell you why. The defensive coordinator, Ray Horton, has scaled back the safety pressures, which has taken pressure off those corners and given them the help they needed.
Marshawn Lynch carries on first down. Not much there. 10-6 with 11:45 and counting here in the third quarter. Tavares Jackson has to try to get something going. As you pointed out, Tim, here's a little bit of a hurry up to the line. When he's gone to Sidney Rice, that's been the most effective play. Second down 9. They give it to Lynch. Marshawn Lynch trying to weave his way for a first down. A little short. Darrell Washington was on, but it'll be third down.
Really good blocking across the board, but watch the new addition, 67, the left guard, Paul McQuiston. Watch him lock up on Calais Campbell and then get to the backer. He's just not going to stop.
3rd and 2. They hurry up. Quick pass is complete. And it's Doug Baldwin.
What did I tell you when we were just coming back? You said, what do they need to do? And this was off air. You said, what do they need to do with Tavares Jackson? I said, they got to start moving him to his right. Roll him away from Calais Campbell, who has been a monster in this game with 2.5 sacks. The right defensive tackle for Arizona. By design, get Tavares Jackson out of the pocket.
On first down. Plenty of time. He goes underneath and incomplete for Leon Washington. It'll be second down.
And I think you do that with Tavares. You make it easy on him. You make it easier on your offensive line. Get him outside of the pocket. He's certainly very athletic. Let him read half the field. Find a little rhythm.
Hey, 5-on-5-on, babe. 5-on-5-on. Hey, bang.
Tavares Jackson's throw is caught. Just maybe a yard shy of the first down by Golden Tate, his first grab of the game. So that'll bring up a third down. And here they go to the line after that 9-yard pickup. Lynch remains the back.
Hey, 5-on-5-on. Hey.
Marshawn Lynch, first down. He calls himself the Beast and often says, feed the beast and you'll be fine.
Well, the Beast is, and I know you're a big NASCAR guy, he is like one of those stock cars. I mean, he is low to the ground, aerodynamic.
can go fast enough
and doesn't have reverse. Do those cars even have reverse?
No. And he can bounce off people like those cars bounce off walls. On 1st and 10. And we have a penalty. It's going to be against Seattle.
False start, number 66, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Marshawn Lynch, maybe the best playoff run we've ever seen. Remember the wild card game with the Seahawks knocked off the Saints? You talk about a...
Watch this. Get out of here.
Talk about a 12th man. He ran through 11 of them, it seems like, on this touchdown run. That's what the beast is capable of. On 1st and 15, another low pass. Grabbed, but not much. Clark Hagan's put the pressure on Tavares Jackson.
Tavares just doesn't seem like he's got pocket presence at all.
Not comfortable.
And not aware of where the rush is coming from. And the good ones, they don't see it, they feel it. And it just, when he's throwing from the well, throwing from the pocket, he just does not have a presence of where things are coming from.
Yeah, look at his body language. You know, he's familiar with the offensive coordinator here. The guy, it's his 6th year in the league. He was a starter in Minnesota, then to the bench. He has something he still has to prove here. Run it to 4. And now it's going to be 3rd down and long. Crowd impatient. And, you know, I don't blame them.
I don't mind the call. They had a numbers advantage in the box, you know, in the running box. Clark Hagan ends up doing a nice job sealing it up right here as he comes in, is able to do his job. Keeping that outside arm free, forcing all the cutbacks. But look, they had 7 blockers for only 7 defenders in the running box. That should tell the quarterback you're running. They just weren't able to sustain those blocks.
No
mano
gain.
a mano.
3rd and 15. Jackson completes. That's Baldwin, the rookie. And Doug Baldwin with Richard Marshall on him. And here comes the crowd, gets a Seattle first down after a gain of 20.
And that was a good example of a guy that had some pocket presence. And he just showed it right there. Was able to slide a little bit to the right, was able to feel the pressure coming from behind him, took a couple steps up and delivered a perfect football.
1st and 10 from the 34. Plenty of time for Tavares Jackson, who throws in the direction of Ben Obamanu, who makes the catch. It'll be 2nd down after a gain of 6. Obamanu coming off a career season in catches and yardage, but behind Mike Williams, who really hasn't been much of a target today.
It's been interesting. The year that Mike was able to put together last year and the way he has started this season, awfully slow for the big wideout.
But it's Sidney Rice, the go-to guy so far. That's high in the air, but held on to by Golden Tate. And a good hit from Peterson.
Boy, what an adjustment by Golden Tate, because I don't think he expected this ball to come to him. He was so open. And then I think kind of got mentally lazy. As you watch him here, he's just going to get and stop and watch his body language. And then all of a sudden the ball comes flying out. There he is. Oh, yeah, well, I don't think it's coming. Oh, here it comes.
Mentally lazy. Does that happen to you much? No?
I don't have time for that, Chris.
Marshawn Lynch carry. Physically lazy, yes, maybe. The Cardinal defense getting physical with the beast. After the first down carry.
And you know what? They need Golden Tate to come through. They really do. You think of all the spread offense and the spread principles we see in this game today, and no doubt it's a passing league. And all what you call man under 2 deep, everyone playing the spread with man coverage underneath. You've got to have your slot receivers be productive. And that's why that guy was drafted in round number 2, to be a productive slot receiver. It hasn't come to fruition yet.
On 2nd and 8. Pass complete. What a fingertip grab by Sidney Rice.
Love the fact, Chris, they're moving the pocket, giving an easy read to Tavares Jackson. He's going to pull it out. He's going to get to the right. He's got a 2-route read. He's got Golden Tate going to the corner out of the slot, and he had Sidney Rice running the out route on the sideline. That's how you make it easy for your quarterback who's struggling a little bit. A nice adjustment by Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator.
6 catches for Sidney Rice at 1st and 10. Tavares Jackson with time. He's going to keep. He's going to get a Seattle touchdown. An 11-yard touchdown run.
That's all Tavares Jackson, because his #1 target, Sidney Rice, is just taken away. He's got 2 guys on him. There's nowhere to go with the football. Everyone else is manned up. Look, he wanted that right away. Now he looks left to Mike Williams. Now he realized, I want to put my head down. The Cardinal crunch is coming. Bang! And he still punches it over the goal line.
Mentally and physically tough is Tavares Jackson, who said in between his starting role in Minnesota. And then here he had to keep himself going, so he worked on his body physically. Wanted to be tougher, stronger. He had some early injuries. And came through as, of course, all scoring plays reviewed, so they're making sure, and they're lining up for the extra points. Tavares telling us he likes to run, but you got to be patient in the NFL. And Hauschka gives the Seahawks a 13-10 lead here in the 3rd quarter. Tavares Jackson capping the drive.
Today's game is sponsored by Verizon. Get coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile. Call Star NFL from your Verizon phone to get NFL Mobile.
Seahawks home opener. Seattle has rallied to take a 3-point lead. The Rams are losing on their way to 0-3. The 49ers have won to go to 2-1. That's where Arizona wants to be. And Seattle trying for its first win of the year.
And this crowd needed that drive. These guys are juiced up. This noise could end up being a major factor.
Kevin Cobb. Todd Heap at the 30-yard line. Get coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile. Call Star NFL to get NFL action right on your phone. And after a 9-yard connection, it'll be 2nd down 1.
They're already dialing up.
Wait right on cue.
You let your kids do that at the dinner table?
No.
Or out to dinner or in the back of the car?
No.
Thank you.
Only when I tell them to do their homework do they start texting. Alphonso Smith near the 1st down marker. Try to keep this drive going for the Cardinals. Just over 5 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. He's short.
There's Alphonso Smith there. I'm surprised that he's certainly gotten a bigger share of the load than Chester Taylor.
Each with 8 carries. Fitzgerald a touchdown catch. Alphonso Smith, and the Seattle defense swarms for a loss. Chris Clemens.
Hard to run that to a big, wide, fast defensive end like Chris Clemens. You fake this way and then you just run a quick pitch out here. They call it the flip 90. There's the action. Now flip it out. And Chris Clemens isn't having any of it. Now Alphonso Smith thought he could outrun him. No chance. Chris Clemens, as I like to say, hawked him down.
In Seattle, they only needed a yard on 2nd down. Now they're punting. Zastudor. Leon Washington by the sideline and cannot get to it as the kick goes out of bounds. And Seattle will take over at their own 26-yard line. So Clemens with the stop. Tavares Jackson will lead the offense. We welcome you back to Seattle. This is a Mike Burks production directed by Tom Yohe, and for all the production crew, we appreciate their hard work. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, Drea Avent down on the field and enjoying a clash in the NFC West. Seattle coming off an impressive drive with the lead and the football. Tavares under pressure, floats it and completes. Zach Miller went to his knees, making the catch for a modest gain, if any.
But a completion, which, you know, for a quarterback, and I know it's no gain, but for a quarterback, you throw it, you complete it, and it feels a lot better than that thing hitting the ground.
3-1.
2nd and 8. Tavares goes down and the ball comes out. And Darnell Dockett was there. We heard the whistle.
I think that guy spends a little time in the weight room, Darnell Dockett.
They're going to say it's incomplete.
Now, how is that incomplete as he's on his way down to the ground?
He'll have
where was the receiver?
You'll have to ask the official that. On 3rd and 8. Cardinals threatening with a blitz. See if they come. And timeout. Tavares Jackson. Maybe he saw what we saw. It's Seattle's first timeout here in the second half. Tavares Jackson facing a 3rd down.
Boy, the Seahawks really dodged a bullet here, and Alberto Riveron doesn't see it. This is intentional grounding. Watch this. There's no throwing motion. There's the contact by the defensive lineman before the throwing motion starts. Tavares Jackson just throws it to the ground. That should have been intentional grounding, and it should have been a loss of down.
Our rules analyst Mike Pereira all over that with Tim Ryan. So 3rd and 8.
Hey, lay, 4-man.
Tavares Jackson hesitates, throws, and incomplete for Zach Miller. So Seattle now 6 out of 12 on 3rd down, and with 3:24 to go in the 3rd quarter, they face another punting situation. Turn the ball back over to the Cardinals, who trail by 3.
The passing game has just been so out of whack, so out of sync when Tavares Jackson tries to throw from the pocket. It's either he can't see anything or the timing is that screwed up. It is just out of whack.
John Ryan's boot. Fair catch called for. Peterson, 26-yard line of Arizona. Kevin Cobb, 16 out of 21 so far with 161 yards and a touchdown. Enjoying the game in Seattle, Kevin Cobb, when they acquired him, Ken Wisenhunt said, Andy Reid of the Eagles said he's a guy that can reach anybody, and not just with his arm. He meant the kind of guy he is, the leader he is.
Well, he can hang out with anybody. He can hang out with the defensive backs. He can hang out with the offensive linemen. He can go roll, do some bowling with the receivers. He can go have some dinner with the running backs. I mean, he really is a chameleon in that regard. Can fit in with everybody. He has terrific leadership skills. That's obvious in talking to him and talking to his teammates. And the thing that's amazing is, again, you think of the length of time that he's been with the Arizona Cardinals down in the desert, and already his contagious attitude and leadership has worn off on this entire football team.
And he hands off here to Alphonso Smith, and this is a spot where you have a quarterback who, you're in a close game, you're on the road with a division rival. It's one you don't want to let slip away.
Absolutely, and it's not just the X's and O's stuff. This guy has great intangibles. As you see right there, he's at the end of the Redskin game, there's a huge costly fumble. Watch the leadership here to Chancey Stuckey. It's all right, dog. You're all right. You know, we can roll with it. He's got tremendous toughness. He can still hang in there and complete the ball. He's been very well coached by Marty Morton-Henwig in Philadelphia, but he's got the intangibles you look for.
And Alphonso Smith, the workhorse, his 2nd straight carry, gets a 1st down for Arizona, and Kevin Cobb out to the 40-yard line. So 10 carries so far in the game for Smith.
And back to Cobb, I think a big part of, you know, as I said, being coached by Marty Morton-Henwig in Philadelphia, who's great with quarterbacks, is he understands all the X's and O's part of it. There's a lot of guys, Chris, that understand it, prepare for it, they grind, and then they get out there and they freeze up on game day. You talk about this guy, he's had 10 starts in the pro game, and how effective he is in his efficiency. He's just a ball player.
Cobb to throw. Incomplete to Alphonso Smith. He had early Doucette wide open at the 48-yard line. I mean, wide open. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, you're right. He did have early Doucette over on the sideline. There was nobody within 15 yards of early Doucette. And that's another thing that people don't talk about with Kevin Kolb is how strong his arm is. He's got a cannon. Larry Fitzgerald said the first time he worked out with him, because I went out for 2 rounds, they blew right through my hands because it was unbelievable.
Smith just short of the 45-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down for the Cardinals here. 3rd quarter winding down, and they're going to need 4.
And they've been terrible on 3rd down in this game. They're 2 of 7 on 3rd down, and frankly, that's been a trend that's been going on all season long for this Arizona team. And at the end of the day, and Ken Whisenhunt knows it. I mean, he was trained by the Steelers. It's ball control. It's clock control. The way the first 2.5 games have gone, you go back to the first 2 games, they're averaging 12 less play opportunities per game than their opponent.
Cobb, incomplete. It was for Fitzgerald, and it's 4th down. Haven't been able to do much with Larry in the second half here.
Well, and Larry was matched up on linebacker David Hawthorne that time. And they got just enough pressure where Kevin had to get on the move and get on the run, and he laid it out a little too far in front of Fitzgerald.
Zastudil, the punter. Last week we told you after the game he flew back to Ohio. His wife welcoming Quinn, their 3rd child, into the world. All happy and healthy and doing his job here as Leon Washington takes it inside the 15. And a return out to the 20-yard line where it will be 1st and 10 for Seattle. Fox Animation Domination is finally here with a night of season premieres. Complete comedy chaos with all new episodes of television's most animated night. The Fox season premiere Sunday night tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Nursing a 3-point lead, and if you missed it, Larry Fitzgerald became the all-time touchdown reception leader by himself, moving ahead of Roy Green with his touchdown catch in the first half. But the Cardinals trail. Marshawn Lynch. A swarm of Cardinals there. Stuart Bradley and Kerry Rhodes in on the tackle, and for Lynch, his 13th carry so far.
Well, they can't block Calais Campbell, whether it be the run or the pass. Watch big 93 here. Paul McQuiston's going to try to block him, and there's just no way. I mean, he takes McQuiston, he puts him 2 yards in the backfield, forces that big bubble where Lynch has either got to bounce outside of it or cut inside of it. He chose to cut inside right to all the red and white jerseys.
Sidney Rice with 6 catches in the game. Tavares Jackson goes underneath short and incomplete. Excellent coverage by Bradley on Lynch, and it will be 3rd down.
He has just got issues in the pocket, and I know the pressure has been good, and there was 4 sacks in the first half of this game by Arizona. They've had pressure and some hits here in the second half. No sacks, but like I said earlier, when he throws out of the pocket and that first read breaks down, the integrity of the offense, it just goes by the wayside.
Sidney Rice comes out to the right side, lined up against Jefferson.
We're good, touch him.
And penalty flag, somebody jumped.
False start, number 17, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That's on Mike Williams, and we've had quite a few false starts on this Seattle offense.
Well, and it should be exactly the opposite when you're playing in your own backyard with the 12th man that's louder than anybody. Should have a much bigger effect on the opponent. Exactly the opposite today for Pete Carroll's team.
So now it's 3rd and 12 after their 6th penalty. Tavares rolling, throwing, complete to Sidney Rice right at the 30-yard line. As the 3rd quarter winds down, will check the spot to see if that's a first down catch or not. That's the end of the third quarter. The Seahawks lead the Cardinals 13-10. Fox NFL Sunday continues after a break from your local Fox station. Seahawks glad to be home, protecting a 3-point lead here as we start the fourth quarter after 2 losses on the road, and on a big third down play they came up inches short, so it'll now be fourth down.
Well, and here they found some rhythm on the last drive, the best drive of the game for them, and they were able to run it a little bit, get Tavares Jackson out of the pocket. You see a couple of good examples here, really reducing his read, making it easy, and then now extending plays with his legs and just slamming right through those 2 safeties of the Arizona Cardinals for a touchdown. There is no question in my mind with Tavares Jackson, if I'm Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, and you see there the contrast in what they've been able to do first half to second half, both teams. If I'm Darrell Bevell, Chris, you got to continue to get him on the move. It has not been good when he tries to run a conventional passing game out of the pocket. Frankly, it's been terrible. They've got to get him on the edges, using his legs and putting pressure on the defense.
And was told there were no designed runs for Tavares Jackson in this game, but certainly movement, and that run for the touchdown, his first home game as the leader, the quarterback for these Seahawks. So they hesitated on the sideline after a measurement, but they're going to punt at their own 30, inches short on fourth down. So John Ryan standing at the 15, waiting for the cheerleaders to clear the field behind him. They're still in the end zone. A high kick that backs up Patrick Peterson from his 5. And stopped just across the 14-yard line. 66-yard punt. Whoa. And a 9-yard return. We mentioned Larry Fitzgerald's touchdown catch in the first half, which made him the all-time touchdown reception leader in Cardinal history.
Been quiet in the third quarter here in the second half. Quiet.
5 catches in the game for Fitzgerald. Sidney Rice leads all receivers with 7. And Alphonso Smith has become the workhorse back, carrying 12 times. Chester Taylor 8 since Beanie Wells was inactive with the hamstring.
Tell you who's had a big impact on the second half of this game. It's number 91, Chris Clemens, for the Seattle Seahawks.
5-7, Lions!
Cobb. Batted incomplete. Clemens was in on it.
And you can see what they're going to do to him. I told you he's been a problem. Now they're going to put 2 on him. You're going to see the running back come in here to the side. He's going to help chip on Chris Clemens. There he is. Bang. Doesn't matter. Clemens has got a motor that's redlining all the time. He's able to disengage off of Brandon Keith and get himself a nice 2-handed bat down. I love this guy. This guy is a player. Finally gets a real opportunity in Seattle last year, and he is taken off.
Fitzgerald, no catches in the second half. He's on the right on second down. Cobb goes the other way to Todd Heath. Looked like a tight end screen that didn't develop. It'll be third down. Let's get an update. Here's Kurt Menefee with a game break.
Well, the Oakland Raiders have rushed for more than 200 yards in 3 quarters against the Jets. Denarius Moore, the rookie, adding to it with 23 yards on the touchdown. Jets fumble the ensuing kickoff. Raiders scored again. They now lead at 31-17, 2 seconds into the final stanza. Chris and Tiff.
Thanks, Kurt. Cobb gets out of the rush and is knocked down short of the first down. Leroy Hill forces a fourth down for Arizona, and there's a Cardinal player down on the field.
Remember the athleticism we talked about? Look at him leap over Alan Branch right there, Kevin Cobb. Now we talked about his toughness too. Watch this body rocking shot. Wow.
Matt McCoy, the injured player.
Today's game is sponsored by Corona Extra, who invites you to find your beach. By Burger King, where you can enjoy the flavor of soft serve in several delicious combinations. And by Chevrolet Volt. It's more car than electric.
Matt McCoy was able to get up and walk off the field. The linebacker who got knocked out on the play.
Give Pete Carroll's defense some credit here. Second half for the Arizona Cardinals. 4 series, 4 punts.
And 2 3-and-outs. Leon Washington will watch this punt go out of bounds. And the Seahawks should have excellent field position as they will start at their own 46.5-yard line. So they did the job on Cobb. Let's see what they do on offense. Tim Ryan, Chris Wyers welcoming you back to Seattle. All the games early were close, and how about the Bills and the Lions are 3-0, and Drew Brees rallied the Saints at home to beat the Texans.
And how about Matthew Stafford, and we'll hear it on the OT coming up, but Matthew Stafford, they're down 20-0 in that game.
On the road.
On the road in Minnesota in that crazy loud venue, and he shreds them.
Marshawn Lynch, a penalty flag goes down, and he goes down. A.J. Jefferson made the stop. Yeah, the OT will have all the highlights of those games and some of the late games as well. The Cardinals trying to end an 8-game road losing streak.
Illegal formation. Number 68, who was eligible, was covered. That penalty is declined. It will be second down.
Extra tight end in. So it will be second down after the 1-yard loss. Marshawn Lynch with 14 carries in the game so far. Tavares Jackson will look to throw. He's dancing around, and he's going to keep it and get out of bounds in Arizona territory. His best play of the day might have been his touchdown run. So now it'll be third down and 5 after a 6-yard pickup from the 48 of Arizona.
You know, he seems like just watching him, and I know it's all new with new players around him, but if it's not perfect, he just can't let it go in terms of the route and the wide receiver. There was a good example. He had a guy or two that was somewhat open, but he couldn't pull the trigger.
Snap is loose. That's a fumble football. Back on it, Anthony McCoy, one of 2 tight ends inside the 30, where the Cardinals were going to come up with a big turnover.
That's a bad snap by Max Unger. Watch this thing hits Tavares Jackson right in the head, above his head. I mean, one that he certainly should have fielded, but you want that thing down low near the chest plate right around the numbers, and watch where this goes. I mean, that's up over his head.
That's a snap to a 6'5" or 6'6" quarterback. He got beat up on that play. He's been hit hard so far this season, Tavares Jackson. Another excellent kick from John Ryan. Patrick Peterson goes up the sideline across the 20, where the Cardinals will take over on offense, trailing by 3. A 63-yard kick.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the Chevy Season of Doing.
They're checking the knee of Tavares Jackson after that fumble he was run into. Charlie Whitehurst is warming up for Seattle at quarterback.
And you saw it right there as he went for the loose ball. Joey Porter down low. The nasty, awkward shot right on that right knee.
Alphonso Smith carries and a strong run out near the 29-yard line. David Hawthorne brought him down. We have not seen a lot of offense in the second half. Should the Cardinals be throwing more? They haven't got the ball to Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, the Cardinals, and I'm a little surprised at all the huddling up they've done here in the second half. As effective as Ken Wisenhunt's group offensively had been early in the game, running a no huddle at the line of scrimmage and putting all the pressure on the defense.
Second and 1. Alphonso Smith again. And it looks like he spun forward for the first down. Earl Thomas brought him down. Maybe Ken Wisenhunt is playing, hey, I don't think they can score a lot, so we don't want to give them anything easy. We'll play a close to the vest kind of game.
Well, I understand that. You run the ball, but you can still run the ball out of the no huddle, out of all your spread sets. I mean, that's easy. Heck, they did it last week to a T against the Washington Redskins with all that spread draw run that they have. Kevin Cobb's at his best when he's at the line of scrimmage. He's directing traffic and he's spreading guys out.
1st and 10. Cobb has it and has time. He's going to run it out of bounds just short of the 35-yard line. We've seen both quarterbacks have to make plays with their legs.
And he wanted Larry Fitzgerald, but here's what they've been doing to Larry. You're going to see big Brandon Browner here, but watch another guy come flashing into the screen deep. So you got one playing underneath, that being the big 6'4" corner who can play from a trail position because he's so big. And then you put a safety, a fast safety over the top that can handle all the deep speed stuff of Larry Fitzgerald. Common tactic around the NFL versus #1 wide receivers.
2nd and 7.
Hey, base, base, base.
Quick pass is caught at the 35-yard line by Alphonso Smith. And that'll bring up a 3rd down. The defense is tightening the screws here in the second half.
No, they're all over it. David Hawthorne knew that little out route was coming before Cobb threw it to Alphonso Smith.
They're going to need 5. And there's a penalty flag.
I think it's going to end up on Brandon Keith here.
That howling sound could be so cruel to an opposing offense.
Neutral zone infraction. Number 98 on the defense. 5-yard penalty. It will remain third down.
And Raheem Brock jumped across.
There's Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator.
He might run out on the field.
Yeah, I tell you, watch Keith. Watch it. Let's see who moves first. Let's see if he's in the neutral zone before Brandon Keith moves. Yeah, he was. That's a good call from the head linesman. That's a perfect call from the head linesman.
Now it's 3rd and 1. And the officials, there's actually a timeout here called by Seattle.
This is their second.
Seahawks will have 1 remaining, so there was something defensively. It went from 3rd and 5.5 to 3rd and short after that penalty against the Seattle defense. The coverage doesn't end when the games are over. You know, the OT is always here with Terry, Howie, Kurt, Michael, Jimmy, and the gang. All the highlights, comments, exclusive interviews. And today with all those close games and the major surprises of some of those 3-0 teams. Buffalo beating New England. The Lions rallying on the road at Minnesota. Highlights of the Bears and Packers. The OT presented by Lowe's. It's on right after the game, and it's only on Fox.
And a game that relates to this one, obviously, NFC West team. How about San Francisco winning a game in the Eastern time zone?
On the road in Cincinnati. Alphonso Smith. I don't know.
No way.
So you got an I don't know and a no way.
No way.
They needed less than a yard.
And they didn't get it.
That is a major moment that could swing a 3-point game. At the 40-yard line of Arizona. We're going to bring out the chain gang, get a measurement.
Think about Seattle. They have been outstanding this year in their short yardage situations. Outstanding with their defensive front
They
seven.
didn't get it.
And with the time left on the clock, I'm thinking Ken Wisenhunt will go for it, but I would not, based on it being a 3-point game with 8:50 left.
What a gutsy call.
And as good as Seattle's been on their short yardage defense, they've been great at it.
First down, Cardinals. Alphonso Smith, an undrafted free agent, only in the game because of an injury to Beanie Wells. A practice player who got the carry and made the play.
Now let's put a circle right around the big left tackle, Levi Brown, and watch him down block on Brandon Mebane. That was the key right there. He blocks down on Mebane. He knocks him back 2 yards, and the linebacker could not get there to fill the hole fast enough. Great job by the big left tackle, Levi Brown.
And Ken Wisenhunt complimentary of Levi Brown after a rough start to the season for him. Cobb on first down with time and completes to Todd Heap down to the 30-yard line of the Seahawks. A 28-yard gain.
He had all day to throw the football, and you do that with a veteran. And here's Jeff King. There's Todd Heap right there. You got the 2 tight ends stacked on one another. You leave 4.5 seconds for a veteran to work against the zone, and he's going to find the soft spot just as Todd Heap did right there without the pressure on the quarterback.
He had his choice of tight ends on that play. It'll be Smith carrying for maybe a yard or 2. Anthony Hargrove from backup defensive lineman making the stop. Just over 7 minutes to go, and the Cardinals moving it up at the line here, trailing by 3.
Like the fact they've gone back to this no huddle with Kevin Cobb doing his thing at the line of scrimmage.
Hey, base! Base!
Kevin Cobb out of the pocket and goes down. Ran right into Chris Clemens coming around from the backside. The helmet's off. It'll be 3rd down, and you're going to be careful with field goal range here.
All about effort here by Chris Clemens. Look, he is not going to throttle down that motor, and just gets a kill shot there on Kevin Cobb, who's got nowhere to go with the ball. Chris Clemens he's not going to pull his foot off the gas pedal. That's all there is to it. That's a definition of a guy that plays snap to whistle.
3rd down. Andre Roberts. Maybe a yard or 2. It'll be 4th down. Marcus Trufant made sure he didn't go anywhere. So Jay Feely, who missed a 51-yarder, will have a chance for a kick here.
Don't you get the feeling that this defense just thrives off of this crowd? When the crowd just gets cranked up and Pete Carroll gets them all going, the way those guys swarm to the football, and really that's all that was right there, swarming and forcing this 4th down play.
This will be a 49-yard field goal attempt. There is some breeze here, going left to right and slightly in the face of Theater. The crowd made the call. Seahawks still lead by 3. Pete Carroll thrives in this environment. He calls the crowd here the strength of our program.
Sound waves pushed it back.
Two long-range misses by Jay Feely, or this would be a different game. Tavares Jackson is back in at quarterback after getting banged up on the fumble, trying to protect a 3-point lead. And Marshawn Lynch carries for the 15th time today.
And here's where you want those young offensive linemen earning their money here with 5 minutes to go in this game, up 3. You can ground it out, chew clock, get a few first downs, force Arizona to start using those 3 timeouts.
After one-yard pickup, it'll be 2nd and 9 from the 40. Lynch remains in the game.
Hey, double. Hey, double.
Sidney Rice has it. And has a first down, Seattle.
Chris, this is just like a running play. And watch the blocking from number 85, Anthony McCoy. Here's a one hitch, throw it out. Now watch 85 right there get locked up on Kerry Rhodes and just keep driving him. Kerry Rhodes can't disengage, and Sidney Rice down the sideline for a huge first down.
A 23-yard gain. That's the 8th catch for Sidney Rice. 109 receiving yards in his first game this year. The shoulder's okay. Marshawn Lynch carries and is brought down right at the line of scrimmage by Richard Marshall, the nickelback. So that'll bring up second down.
Seattle's defense in the second half of this game has really been incredible. When you think about what went down in the first half, how Cobb was moving it, how they were able to do some things. And in this second half, the defense, and especially the pressure and getting after the quarterback, in particular, Chris Clemens, have really turned it up a notch or two.
Outstanding calls from Darrell Bevel, but as you talked about defensive coordinator Ray Horton of the Cardinals, his defense needs to put the stops on this drive. Lynch will carry again, and they bottle him up. It'll be third down. Let's take a look at the afternoon of Marshawn Lynch.
And you've seen a little bit of everything from Lynch. The outside run here and the zone play. See those legs keep going. There's a little power play, pulling the tight end backside out in front. You know what you love about Marshawn Lynch? Talked about him being a split-legged runner with a wide base and always churning. Every time, Chris, every time he goes through the line of scrimmage, his shoulder pads are squared up. He's not that whole, I'm trying to get skinny, go through the line. I'm staying big, I'm staying square, I'm staying downhill.
On 3rd and 8, he checks out. Forsett checks in. Extra receivers for Tavares Jackson.
Pressure.
Picked up. Pass is incomplete for Rice, who didn't quite see it in time, with Patrick Peterson right there. No flags. And it'll be 4th down.
I think Tavares Jackson just threw this ball early. I know there was some contact over there on Sidney Rice with Patrick Peterson, but the blitz was coming and Tavares unloaded it, and Sidney Rice simply wasn't ready to try to make a play on the ball.
And they're going to pass up a long field goal and instead go with John Ryan. If they would have attempted a field goal, it'd be in the neighborhood of 52, 53 yards. But it's that kind of a game. A little push, a little pull. It's a 3-point difference. Pete believing in his defense.
Yeah, they're going to take a delay of game here and give themselves a few more yards in terms of room.
Delay a game on the offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
So Ryan will have more room and try to pin the Cardinals inside the 20-yard line at least, maybe better than that. He's been kicking the ball well. That steady breeze more to his back, that breeze that we saw maybe cut into Jay Feely's field goal attempt. If Peterson gets the chance, look out. The ball goes out of bounds, but way up near the 20.
That's awful. That is awful. That thing's all the way at the 31-yard line. That ended up being a 10-yard kick, a 9-yard kick, punt.
.257 to go in the 4th quarter, and you can see the expression on punter John Ryan.
He can't believe he just did that.
After getting room.
I mean, the whole directional thing, I understand you want to pin it in the corner, directional kick. It just slid off the inside of his foot, it looked like. That was awful.
On 1st down, Cobb's pass complete to Andre Roberts, who gets up near the 1st down marker. Now remember, Cardinals, 8 straight losses on the road. They were on the road in Washington last week. They had the football late, had a chance to win. The unfortunate fumble after a completion to Chancey Stuckey, who was, by the way, inactive today because of an injury. So these are the kind of games that a guy like Kevin Cobb should be able to pull out for Ken Wisenhunt.
Great opportunity for him, Chris, in only his 10th start as a professional quarterback.
What? What?
2nd and 1. That's Doucette for the 1st down. And he gets into Seattle territory before Marcus Trufant brings him down.
And that was a busted coverage. Trufant is agitated and irritated. There was nobody near early Doucette on that play.
Chester Taylor checks in. He got the start. Alphonso Smith carrying the load at 1st and 10. Cobb for Fitzgerald, who got tied up back at the 32-yard line.
Boy, there was a lot of contact there when that ball was in the air. Brandon Browner, who's much better in press. Watch him now. He can't touch Fitzgerald. He's got his hands all over him.
Larry had 5 catches in the first half, 0 in the second half, and we've got 2:19 to play here in the fourth.
Lock it, lock it.
Watch out. Cobb gets away, throws, and low. Looked like it bounced incomplete. He was going for his tight end, Todd Heap. It'll be 3rd down.
And that's the feeling of having a guy like Chris Clemens right on your backside who's putting the heat on you.
Already 2 sacks.
Yeah, and Chris came around the corner and got some heat there, and Kevin had to step up and pull the trigger on that thing, and it fell about 6 yards short, skipping into heat.
Pass is complete, and early Doucette gets near the 1st down marker. As we get close to the 2-minute warning, the Cardinals have all 3 of their timeouts. He's going to be short. They went for it last time on 4th down, and the decision will be easy this time for the Cardinals. They have the football, trailing by 3 in Seattle. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks desperate for a win. Their home opener. The defense facing a 4th and 1 with a 3-point lead. Cardinals just inside the 40. Jay Feely has missed 2 long field goals already.
And the last time they went for it on 4th down and got it on the short yardage, it was right behind their left tackle, Levi Brown.
Pressure, Cobb, high and complete. Seahawks football, but a flag comes in.
I think Trufant got there too early. He's going to get pass interference.
Way over the head of Fitzgerald was that throw.
He had no chance to jump up and try to get it. I mean, watch here, he's going to run a slant, and Trufant holds him down. He can't jump to try to get it. That's an easy call.
Forget whether it was catchable or not. That's illegal contact.
Number 23, defense. The ball will be placed to spot the foul. Automatic 1st down.
So Fitzgerald without a catch in the second half, and he still makes a big play.
And that's his biggest play of the second half, bar none.
Otherwise, the Seahawks would have had the football.
How about with the game on the line, who they go to?
No running play there when you need less than a yard. Fitzgerald comes out to the right. A fresh set of downs from the 34.
Please. You got that?
See if Pete Carroll blitzes this look. Here it comes.
Pressure, pass, incomplete behind early Doucette. And Chris Clemens applying the heat again.
Yeah, and you show a Pete Carroll defense, no backs, empty 5 wide, and one of your running backs being one of those 5 wides, he's going to send the pressure, because what you would love here, Chris, is to get a sack and push Feely further away from a field goal opportunity.
He missed a 49-yarder going this way and a 51-yarder going the other way. On 2nd and 10.
Lock it, lock it.
Cobb, Raheem Brock is after him, and the ball is loose. Brandon Keith jumped on that football. What a fumble recovery, because if Seattle gets the football there, well, their third sack of the game.
Yeah, Brock's going to come from over here, and he's going to go around the back door, but watch him turn the Jets on 98. Here come the turbo right here. He's going to run him down, and he just hit the back of Cobb's elbow with his helmet, and the ball fell out.
Cardinals need to get in field goal range. Cobb, intercepted. Cam Chancellor has it. Seahawks ball.
What a play by the young safety. Here he is, Cam Chancellor. He's already got his eyes in the backfield on the quarterback. Now watch this break. He had his eyes on Kevin Cobb the whole way. Todd Heap running down the hash mark, and watch him. There it comes out. Chancellor's going to make a break on it. Right in front of Todd Heap, undercut that route. That play was made with his eyes well before Cobb threw it.
And what a time for Cam Chancellor's first career interception. Marshawn Lynch carries, and a good gain up near the 40-yard line on first down. Seattle had not had a takeaway coming into this game, but that takeaway of Kevin Cobb may put Seattle right back into things in the West.
How about 2 weeks in a row for the Arizona Cardinals, an opportunity to win it, and they in effect lose it with a turnover. Chancey Stuckey fumbled last week, and then of course this one right here by Kevin Cobb, telegraphing that seam throw down the hash mark.
And Cobb went over to Stuckey and said, don't worry about the fumble. I had a play earlier in that Redskin game, could have rallied us. Stuckey inactive with an injury, and Cobb beating himself up over this one. Cardinals burned one of their timeouts. They have 2 remaining. They need a stop. Seattle wants to keep the chains going on 2nd and 4. It'll be Marshawn Lynch again, and it'll be 3rd and short. And Arizona uses its second timeout, so they'll have 1 left. Will Cobb get another chance? Will Jay Feely get another chance? Highlights coming up on the OT presented by Lowe's. How did the Lions rally to win on the road? What about the shootout? Buffalo outscoring Brady and the Patriots. Plus late game highlights in case you missed them from earlier. And the Giants, a big win over the Eagles, and Michael Vick, who played but was injured again. They'll have the latest information on that. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, Jimmy, and the gang.
Incredible games around the league today.
Close
Incredible.
games.
Just drama everywhere.
And another one here on 3rd down. Arizona has hope if they get the stop. And they do. Ed Williams, the fullback, carries, so it'll be 4th down. Cardinals burn their last timeout with 51 seconds remaining. A chance, if the punt does go, for Kevin Cobb to atone.
That's right. And you think of Patrick Peterson back there returning the punt. He took 189 yards. And that really ended up being the deciding factor in the win over the Carolina Panthers.
And Ryan has had a terrific game booting the ball, but his more recent punt was a 9-yard kick that the Cardinals failed to take advantage of. That last drive obviously stalled, or ended, I should say, on the interception. So a lot of moving parts here with little time. Ryan does boot it. Patrick Peterson near the sideline does have it. And he flips back, and it's tipped away. A.J. Jefferson has it. And he's maneuvering upfield across the 23-yard line. A creative play set up that Cam Chancellor, who had the interception, interfered with.
Love it, but how many seconds, precious seconds, does it take off that clock?
Good point.
The old throwback. Lucky this thing, as you said, wasn't intercepted right there by Cam Chancellor. How impressed are you with A.J. Jefferson when this guy gets the ball in his hands? He is an effective runner with the football as a return guy.
So after all that, 23-yard line, 35 seconds left, trailing by 3. And no timeouts for the Cardinals.
That was at least a play for as long as it took him. That was at least a play on this last drive.
Kevin Cobb goes short. That's going to eat up the clock. Chester Taylor gets a first down at the 35-yard line. Time is your enemy here without any timeouts. Cobb's got the arm.
No, they're going to have to get to some hook and ladder stuff. They got to go. He's going to spike it here. They'll call a play.
And you've only got a couple of plays left with 15 seconds to go. Cobb has put it up 37 times today. 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. And the Seattle defense, led by Clemens with a couple of sacks, has made it tough on Ken Wisenhunt's offense.
Yeah, they've got a couple of options. You can do some hook and ladder stuff over the middle of the field because the middle is going to be wide open. I promise you, Seattle will be defending the sidelines. Or if you're Cobb, get a couple of quick shots down the sideline and hopefully get some into field goal range.
Cobb out of the pocket, sideline, through the hands of Andre Roberts. It was almost a big play because he would have been able to step out of bounds. Now you're still 35 yards away from even a long field goal try. With 8 seconds to go. How big are those misses by Feely of 51 and 49 yards?
What's the difference in the game?
Pass to Andre Roberts. Clock running. Middle of the field. Oh, the ball is loose. And the clock has expired. And the game is over. Seahawks happy to be home. The road problems continue for the Cardinals.
And Leroy Hill was having none of it. What a hit.
And what a finish for Seattle, winning 13-10.